Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have something truly spine-tingling in store for you. So get ready and buckle up as we into a heart-pounding tale of the unknown. In this special episode, we present to you a horror story titled The Haunting in Blackwood Cabin. Our story begins with a cabin in the woods. Story begins with Sheka and Ice both have no idea what was about to unfold before them. The Haunting of Blackwood Cabin. It was a dark and stormy night when I first laid eyes on Blackwood Cabin. The wind howled through the ancient trees of the forest, and rain poured from the sky in relentless sheets. Lightning flashed, briefly illuminating the path before me, and thunder rumbled like the anguished cries of lost souls. I had heard the legends about Blackwood Cabin for years. It was said to be cursed, a place where the veil between the living and the dead was thin, and where unspeakable horrors awaited anyone foolish enough to enter. But I was not one to shy away from a challenge. I craved the thrill of the unknown, and so, on that fateful night, I embarked on a journey that would forever haunt my nightmares. The forest seemed to close in around me as I made my way along a winding, overgrown trail. The trees whispered secrets that I could not decipher, and the air was thick with an unnatural chill. My flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing gnarled roots and twisted branches that reached out like skeletal fingers. After what felt like an eternity, I finally saw it, the cabin. It emerged from the shadows like a specter, its wooden walls weathered and worn, its windows dark and foreboding. The front door creaked open as if welcoming me inside, and I couldn't resist the pull of its eerie allure. As I stepped over the threshold, the air grew even colder and a pervasive sense of dread settled over me like a heavy shroud. The interior of the cabin was dimly lit, illuminated only by the feeble glow of my flashlight. Dust motes danced in the beam of light, and the air was thick with the musty scent of decay. The walls were adorned with faded photographs, their subjects long forgotten. The faces in the pictures stared out at me with hollow eyes, as though pleading for release from their eternal captivity. The floorboards groaned beneath my feet, protesting my intrusion into this cursed place. I began to explore the cabin room by room. In the kitchen, I found rusted pots and pans, their surfaces coated with a slimy residue. In the living room, a moth-eaten armchair faced an empty fireplace, its mantel adorned with long-forgotten trinkets. Each room seemed to hold its own dark secrets, but I was determined to uncover the truth. As I ascended the creaking staircase to the second floor, I heard a faint whisper, like the sibilant sigh of the wind through the trees. It was a woman's voice, soft and melodic, but laced with a haunting sadness. The words were unintelligible, but the message was clear. Leave this place, for there is no escape. I followed the sound of the whisper down a dimly lit hallway, and there, at the end, I found a door ajar. The haunting melody grew louder as I approached, and my heart pounded in my chest. With trembling hands, I pushed the door open and stepped into the room beyond. The sight that greeted me froze the blood in my veins. A woman stood before an ancient, dust-covered piano. Her back was turned to me, and her long, raven-black hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall of shadows. She wore a gown of faded silk, its fabric trailing on the floor as though she floated above it. Her fingers danced gracefully over the piano keys, producing a mournful melody that hung in the air like a shroud. I called out to her, but my voice was swallowed by the haunting music. It was as if she existed in a world of her own, a world that I was not meant to enter. I took a step closer, and that's when I saw it, the reflection in the dusty mirror. The woman had no reflection. Panic surged through me as I stumbled backward, my flashlight flickering. I fumbled for the door, desperate to escape the room and the apparition that inhabited it. But the door slammed shut with a deafening finality, and the room plunged into darkness. The mournful melody continued, now more ominous than ever. It seemed to seep into my very soul, filling me with a bone-deep terror. I was trapped alone in the darkness with a presence that defied the laws of the living. I fumbled for my flashlight, my hands trembling. When the feeble light pierced the darkness once more, I saw her, standing inches away, her hollow eyes fixed on mine. Her beauty was ethereal, but her gaze held the weight of centuries of sorrow. "Who are you?" I managed to choke out, my voice barely above a whisper. She did not reply in words. Instead, she reached out a pale, translucent hand, her fingers brushing against my cheek. It was as cold as death, and I could feel the chill spreading through me, seeping into my very bones. A voice echoed in my mind, soft and pleading. "Help me." I tried to retreat, but her grip on my soul was unrelenting. She drew me closer, her lips inches from mine. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of despair, as if I were teetering on the precipice of madness. And then she kissed me. Her lips were ice cold, and a wave of darkness washed over me. Images flashed before my eyes, memories of a life I had never lived, of a love lost to time. I saw the cabin as it once was, a place of happiness and warmth, now twisted by a malevolent force. The kiss seemed to last an eternity, and when it finally ended, I was left gasping for breath. The room was empty and the haunting melody had ceased. I was alone in the darkness, my mind reeling from the experience. I stumbled out of the room and down the staircase, my heart pounding in my chest. The front door stood open and I rushed out into the stormy night, the rain washing away the remnants of that spectral kiss. I never returned to Blackwood Cabin, but the memory of that night has haunted me ever since. The woman's plea, her sorrow, her longing, all of it etched into my soul. I often find myself standing at the edge of the forest, staring at the cabin in the distance, wondering what otherworldly horrors lie within. Some say that Blackwood Cabin is cursed, that it is a place where the living and the dead are forever entwined. And though I may never know the truth, one thing is certain. Once you enter that cabin, you can never truly leave. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more bone-chilling stories and captivating content. Remember, hit that like button and leave a comment. And if you have any bone-chilling stories you like told, leave a comment. I'll surely get back with you. Thanks for watching.